The local self-reliance scenario is based on the idea that the Australian economy continues to have problems, so we don't get a period of high economic growth, we just continue to limp along as the new normal. But there is a sense of grim determination, of people wanting to somehow make the best of a bad situation. And if you think back to how the organisation began during World War II, it was pretty much that sort of situation. On the one hand, you had a government that was having to focus far more on defeating the enemy, wasn't able to provide so many welfare services, but within the community itself, there was this grim determination just to help one's neighbour and somehow see throughout the crisis. And so this is what we're envisaging within this scenario. In other words, continuing economic problems, little government expenditure perhaps for welfare, but within the general public themselves, this determination to carry on. And so you actually get an increase in social cohesion as a response to the prevailing crisis. And so people really do want to make something of their lives. They're willing to work together. And that's how the Meals on Wheels organisation began in World War II.
I think one of the first ones, and you can actually see some of this already occurring in our economy, and I suspect that if this scenario starts to emerge, it's going to grow dramatically, and that's all these community gardens and organic gardens. A classic example of that was what happened in Cuba after the embargoes were placed on Cuba by the American government. And therefore there was real difficulty in getting sufficient food to feed the people. But there was tremendous social cohesion amongst the people. They were getting out and doing it themselves. What happened throughout Havana was every piece of spare ground got turned into a community garden. And it's still true today. And so that sort of thing is likely to emerge because people will want to get out there and solve the problems that they know government is either incapable of or unwilling to solve. There'll also be, it seems to me, a diminution in the problem that we have, that many of the services have at the moment, of recruiting volunteers. People will want to go out and volunteer because it's their way of showing that social and community cohesion that's important in this scenario. They'll go out and start volunteering in organisations, and therefore those organisations there'll be a turnaround in their inability to acquire volunteers. There'll be an increase. People will start coming to them and wanting to volunteer for them. There'll also be an increase in a lot of other community activities, and also these naturally occurring retirement villages, which are already starting to happen. They're fairly isolated at the moment, but they could start to expand in this scenario where a group of older people get together, and there could be a whole range of different ways that this happens, but a group of older people could get together and simply buy a collection of houses together and then start supporting each other within that. So it becomes, rather than a retirement village that's created by, I don't know, the Uniting Church or something like that, they get together and do it themselves, and they then support each other in those. If one of them's ill at a particular time, the others can come in, cook meals for them, clean the house, that sort of thing. So it's those sorts of things that will start to demonstrate whether this scenario is starting to emerge. There are others as well, and we want to talk about some of those others in the discussions that we have in the regional forums, but they're just a few instances of the kind of things that you would start looking for.